It's time for Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, Sportsnet LA presents the Dodgers as they take on the Cincinnati Reds. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Friday evening to you, wherever you may be. Welcome to Dodger Stadium, Game 2 of the series with Cincinnati. Rather interesting combination of young left-handers. First of all, for the Dodgers, left-hander Alex Wood. He came over from Atlanta. He is 7-7 and 0-1 as a Dodger. He lost a pretty good ball game to Philadelphia when he struck out 8. Now, both pitchers have a lot in common. They're both big. First of all, Alex Wood is 6'4", 215. And he suffered Tommy John surgery in 2009. On the mound for the Reds, a local boy, John Lamb from Laguna Hills. John Lamb, another big left-hander. He is 6'3" and 220. He's 25 years old, went to Laguna Hills High School, and was quite a prospect. However, in senior year, he was in an automobile accident, rear-ended, and had a hairline fracture of the left arm. Continued to pitch, but finally in 2011 had to undergo Tommy John surgery. Lamb just called up, making his major league debut. He is the 15th straight rookie pitcher going to the mound for Cincinnati. You'd have to go back to 1997. The St. Louis Cardinals sent 19 rookie pitchers to the mound in consecutive games. And one other note about John Lamb. He is the grandson of John Ramsey, who was the Dodgers public address announcer here at Dodger Stadium for 24 years. We'll get to the ball game and a whole lot more coming up right after this. Justin Turner leading the Dodgers onto the field as we get ready for Game 2 of the 4-game series with the Cincinnati Reds. A battle of young left-hander Alex Wood and John Lamb. For the Dodgers, losing last night 10-3, they find themselves 2.5 games in front of the Giants. Brian Price, meanwhile, his ball club 21.5 games behind St. Louis. Against left-handers, and they're going to be looking at them tonight, the Reds are 13-15. The Dodgers are 11-12. Here's the way the Reds stack up. Brandon Phillips leads off at second base. Eugenio Suarez at short. Joey Votto at first. Todd Frazier at third. Jay Bruce in right. Marlon Byrd in left. Brian Pena, the catcher. John Lamb bats eighth. And the will-o'-the-wisp, Billy Hamilton, the center fielder, batting ninth, and he was on a tear last night. Alex Wood, the young left-hander, 7-7, 0-1 since he put on a Dodger uniform. Struck out 8, but he still lost against Philadelphia. The left-handers, as we pointed out at the opening, the fact each have had Tommy John surgery, and we'll see how they go tonight. It'll be Brandon Phillips, then Eugenio Suarez, and Joey Votto. And, of course, for Brandon Phillips, you're looking at one of the really solid players for so many, many years. Out of Raleigh, North Carolina, when you look up his career, he's had 798 runs batted in. Robinson Cano, 955. Chase Utley, 914. He takes a strike, and we're underway. Howie Kendrick, by the way, has 550. So Brandon Phillips, starting off, 8 home runs, 43 runs batted in. The next pitch, a change off the plate. The unorthodox delivery of Alex Wood. The full extension of the left arm, but it goes behind his back instead of over the top. And then he comes hurtling at the plate. Ground ball up the middle. Nice play by Rollins to throw him out. Boy, Jimmy is just playing better and better day after day. And missing his buddy Howie Kendrick, he's really continued. No matter who's playing second base, it's Rollins the man to make the play. So Phillips grounds out, 1 away, and the batter now, Eugenio Suarez. Boy, he had a big night last night. He had 2 doubles and a 3-run home run. Batting .307. 7 home runs. Right-hand batter takes a strike. Zach Cozart was normally the shortstop. Cozart went down on the DL, and they got Suarez, and he's just been great. He takes off the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike. 87 degrees here at Dodger Stadium at the start of the game. 1 ball and 1 strike. Another pitch off the plate. Ball 2, 2-1. Alex Wood, 6'4", 215, out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Fastball, and that's low. So he's behind now. 3 balls and 1 strike. Joey Votto waiting on deck. Suarez from Venezuela, originally signed by the Tigers. He swings and fouls it away. He had a pair of 3 RBI games in his young career, and then last night a new high, 4 runs batted in. The Reds sent pitcher Alfredo Simon to the Tigers, getting Suarez. Shortstop, second baseman, takes inside at the left knee, and he's aboard with a walk. So the 1-out pass will bring up Joey Votto, and we'll take a look at the Dodgers with the leather. Gonzalez, Hernandez, Rollins, and Turner, then Slight, Peterson, and Puig, Grandal, and Wood. Joey Votto, another big star, a tremendous player. Votto with an on-base percentage of well over .430. Left-hand batter waiting, and Wood's first pitch in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Votto has 90 home runs first 4 years. That's 3 more than Johnny Bench had. his first 4. Strike one pitch on the way inside, 1-1 the count. Frank Robinson, in his 4 years, first 4 with Cincinnati, hit 134 home runs. Joey Votto signed in 2002, and just before the 2012 season, he signed a 12-year deal. He takes a strike. Votto, since the All-Star break, has really been a one-man gang, hitting .395 since the All-Star break. That's 4th in the majors, behind Peralta, Posey, Hosmer. Joey is 6'3", 220, 32 years old, from Canada, from Toronto, where he was born. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2-2. So Alex Wood got Phillips on a ground ball up the middle. Walked Suarez. 2-2 the count to Votto. Todd Frazier, right-hand batter, on deck. Suarez, cautious lead. And there's a line drive into right center, and that's going to roll all the way to the wall. So here is Suarez. He's into third base, rounding third. He's coming to the plate. The throw is up the line, and he's in there for the run. It was a strong and long throw by Kike Hernandez in shallow right center field. He didn't miss by much. Peterson couldn't get it except to get it to Hernandez, and it was Hernandez making the throw. So Votto, the big hitter on the club, promptly drives one into the gap in right center. Long double. Suarez, who runs well, beats the relay from Kike. Nice try, just missed him. And just like that, Reds are on the board, 1-0. So Votto, a base hit, a run batted in. For Joey, he has 55 runs batted in. He has 24 doubles. And here's Todd Frazier, the All-Star third baseman, the winner of the home run contest. Todd, ball 1. Frazier last night had a single and a double and a steal of third. Remember, this is a running ball club. The Reds have 110 stolen bases. They've only been caught 30 times. So there'll be pressure on Yasmani Grandal. 1-0 the count to Todd. He's the right-hand batter in between Votto and Bruce. Jay Bruce waiting on deck. Votto looking for a ride home. 2-0 the count. After the 4-game series here, the Dodgers go on the road, and they'll wind up in Cincinnati August 25th, 26th, and 27th. 2 balls and no strikes to Todd Frazier. And a high pop foul off first. Adrian coming over, has a play, makes the catch. So Frazier fouls out. Votto has to hold at second. And with 2 down, the batter is Jay Bruce.
Right fielder, number 32, Jay Bruce.
Jay Bruce hitting .245, but he has 18 home runs, 64 runs batted in. Last night, the Reds had 15 base hits. Bruce had a single, went 1 for 5, and struck out twice. A lot of extra base hits. Left-hand hitter waiting, and here comes Alex Wood. Fastball strike, 0-1. Bruce has 27 doubles, 4 triples, and 18 home runs. So 49 extra base hits. 0-1. Off speed and low. Up north, Nationals and Giants are underway. Neither starting pitcher has been pitching well of late. Max Scherzer for the Nationals, Matt Cain for the Giants. Meanwhile, 1-0 Reds here in the first inning. Fastball. Little ground ball to Hernandez. So the walk followed by Votto's double. They get a run. One man left at second base. And at the end of half an inning, 1-0 Cincinnati, and time for John Lamb to make his major league debut. Themselves behind 1-0. So let's take a look at Don Mattingly's lineup card as they try to get at least that one back. Jimmy Rollins leads off at short. Kike Hernandez at second. Justin Turner at third. Adrian Gonzalez at first. Scott Van Slyke in left. Yasiel Puig in right. Yasmani Grandal, the catcher. Jock Peterson in center. Alex Wood on the mound. On the mound, John Lamb, 6'3", 220, out of Laguna Hills. A very talented, hard-throwing left-hander in high school. As we mentioned, he was rear-ended in an automobile accident, had a hairline fracture of the arm. Still pitched, but later on, he had to have Tommy John surgery in 2011. The 1-0 pitch on the way to Rollins is away, ball 2. 2-0 the count. Jimmy has hit safely in 12 of his last 14 with 6 extra base hits. 2-0 pitch way inside. 3-0 the count. Where Lamb at one time was clocked up in the very high 90s. They say following the surgery he's had to really be a pitcher. Fastball strike, and the count 3-1. John's grandfather, John Ramsey, was the public address announcer here, and a ground ball fair over third down the line. Rollins on his way with his 7th extra base hit. Boy, he is blazing hot. So the tying run is out there with nobody out. Just to conclude the thought, John Ramsey was the public address announcer here at Dodger Stadium for 24 years. It's a shame that John didn't live long enough to be able to be on the microphone introducing John Lamb to the crowd. Of course, Ramsey did everything imaginable. Dodgers, Lakers, Kings, Angels, Rams, SC football. So here's Kike. Shows bunt, takes a strike, and the count 0-1. Kike, his 10th game at second base, and he's just been a wonderkind. Whether he plays shortstop, second base, left field, center field, you name it, he's ready. Lamb's fastball misses. 1 ball and 1 strike, missing at 92. Kike batting .292, 5 home runs, 15 runs batted in. Lamb, signed by the Royals, was just called up to the Royals and then was involved in the Johnny Cueto deal. that sent him to Cincinnati. So instead of making his major league debut with Kansas City, he's doing it with Cincinnati. 1-0 Reds. Jimmy Rollins tying run at second base, nobody out. 1-2 to Kike. Meanwhile, Justin Turner 10 feet out in front of the on-deck circle, so he's getting as best a look as he can. There have been times in the old days where pitchers would be annoyed at the on-deck hitter. Ground ball to the hole, that's going to go through. Rollins was going back to third, so he'll have to hold. Hernandez now is caught between first and second. They're keeping an eye on Rollins. Brandon Phillips now holds the ball, and everybody is safe. Kike Hernandez, I guess, expected that Rollins would try to score and there'd be a throw to the plate. So he was thinking, I'm going to take second on the throw. But the throw to the plate instead stopped the runner Rollins, and then Kike got all caught up. Somehow or other stayed alive, slipping and sliding. Rollins watching him at third, and Phillips just had to hold on to the ball. So the Dodgers have runners at first and third, nobody out, and the batter Justin Turner. We mentioned that Turner was so far out in front of the on-deck circle. There are stories of pitchers throwing one at the on-deck hitter. So Justin climbs in, first and third, nobody out. Lamb goes to first, Kike back on the bag. Turner last night came in as a pinch hitter for Latos, singled on the first pitch to right field, grounded out twice, went 1 for 3. Fastball fouled away. Up north, Max Scherzer, Matt Cain. First inning, Bryce Harper's sacrifice fly has given Washington an early 1-0 lead. So John Lamb gives up a double and a single. First and third, nobody out, 1-0 Reds. Time. David Holmberg and Brett Anderson tomorrow night. Anthony Desclafini and Zach Greinke Sunday afternoon. Off-speed pitch and a high fly ball to left field. Bird has a play. Tagging is Rollins. He certainly will score. Throw goes into second base. So just like that, Turner gets the fly ball and the run batted in, and we have a 1-1 tie.
First baseman number 23, Adrian Gonzalez.
So 1-1. Adrian Gonzalez coming up. Gonzalez has been very quiet at home since the All-Star break. Still hitting a solid .292, 22 home runs, 69 runs batted in. Lamb looks over at Hernandez. Fastball in for a strike. 0-1 to count. Adrian, who ranks among the leaders in the league. Hits and runs, doubles, home runs, RBIs, on base percentage, you name it. Another fastball low. 1-1 to count. Boy, what a magnificent time of day. The mountains, they're always etched, but now you can see what appears to be sprinkles of gold. It's the sunlight hitting the stone. Beautiful view. 1-1. Ball 2, 2-1. We have a 1-1 tie. We're in the first inning. Scott Van Slyke is on deck. Two-1 pitch on the way. Off speed, foul back. 2-2. Well, no sooner did Bryce Harper knock in a run with a sacrifice fly in the bottom of the first inning. Long Beach's Matt Duffy just tied it with a home run. So it's 1-1 up there at AT&T Park in the first inning. Hernandez at first, held on by Votto, 1 out. 1-1 score, first inning. Runner goes, missed and fouled at the plate. That means Hernandez back to the bag. Still 2 balls and 2 strikes the count to Adrian Gonzalez. Adrian's last home run on the recent road trip in the 3rd game of the series against Philadelphia. Last night he went 1 for 3, had an RBI. See about Kike going again. Lamb to the plate, low and away. Kike was not moving. So now with 1 out and a 3-2 count, Lorenzo Bundy spots the sign and passes it along. John Lamb, Major League debut. It's swung on and missed at the plate, and the throw is down there in time, and it's an easy double play. Strong throw by Brian Pena, and that'll be that, with Suarez making the tag. Now the Dodgers, they might be complaining. Let's see. So we will hold everything for the moment. Might have had something to do around home plate. Take a look. The tag was just waiting for him, and that would appear to get him, so he would be out for sure. It doesn't look like there's any reason to review, and that'll be that. So the Dodgers get a run, nobody left. At the end of an inning, a 1-1 tie. One second inning, and it'll be Marlon Byrd, Brian Pena, and then John Lamb, the pitcher. Marlon Byrd, tough guy as he fouls a pitch away. We say tough guy because June the 3rd, he was disabled with a fractured right wrist. Suffered the day before when he was hit by a pitch, and yet about 15 days later, 2 weeks later, he was back playing. 0-1 to Marlon. 1 ball and 1 strike. Byrd hitting .240, but he has 19 home runs, 42 runs batted in. Good defensive outfielder, and he's been playing the game a long time. So Byrd trying to get it started in a 1-1 tie. And a chopper wide to third. Turner on it and throws him out. Byrd at the end of the month will be 38 years old. Clayton Kershaw and Zach Greinke. The names go together like ham and eggs. And for the Dodgers, since the All-Star break, they really go together. Together combined 8-0. The other Dodgers starters 3-6. Combined ERA 1.5. The others over 5. The opposition average 170, and forget about the others. The pitch outside for ball 1 to Brian Pena. So the Dodgers, at least for now, a 2-trick pony named Kershaw and Greinke. 2-0 the count. Brian Anderson, who will be pitching tomorrow, has done pretty well, and ERA at 3.4 as he's shoulder to shoulder with Kershaw. Brian with a record of 6-7, and if you would put a hard luck label on a pitcher, it would be Brian. It would be Brett Anderson. Then Sunday it'll be Zach Greinke. 2-1. 3-1. Alex Wood gave up a walk and a double Lovato for a run. Now trying to come back and get Pena 3-1. Got it in there. And there's ball 4. So for Alex Wood, his second walk, the other one was cashed in, and the batter will be John Lamb. We have no idea about John, whether he can hit. The thought certainly is he'll be up there to try to bunt. Now Adrian Gonzalez going to the mound to talk to Alex Wood. Pena at first base, the catcher, does not do much running. He's just 1 for 1. 1 for 1 on a running ball club that has stolen 110 and only been caught 30 times. So here's Lamb trying to get a bunt down, I'm sure. One tie, second inning. And a strike. Boy, Adrian really charging the plate. 0-1 to count to Lamb. Here comes Adrian. Oh, and 2. Third base coach Jim Riggleman. Remember Jim? He was with the Dodgers 2001, 2, 3, and 4, and actually was originally drafted by the Dodgers back in 1974. That's off the plate. 1-2. Waiting on deck, Billy Hamilton. Well, that'll do it for Lamb. So 2 down. I guess maybe they put took the bunt off because of the way Gonzalez was charging the plate.
Number 6, Billy Hamilton.
So Billy Hamilton, the will-o'-the-wisp, coming up. All of 160 pounds and had an all-time night last night. He had 3 singles and a home run and a stolen base. And of course that's all part of his game. Billy with 53 stolen bases and has been caught only 7 times. Slow and outside, ball 1. One ball, no strikes. Hamilton batting 9th. Brian Price, for the 2 games, has hit his pitcher 8th. Fastball line to center. Here comes Peterson. So Hamilton hits it right on the screws and right at Jock Peterson. No runs, no hits, man left. At the end of an inning and a half, a 1-1 tie. To the game, enjoy the final movie in the 2015 Dodger Stadium movie series. We'll be celebrating Back to the Future's 30th anniversary. For more information, go to Dodgers.com/promotions. Bottom of the second inning in a 1-1 tie. Scott Van Slyke, Yasiel Puig, and then Yasmani Grandal against the young left-hander John Lamb. Van Slyke hitting .262 and .310 at home. And the breaking ball is high, ball one. 1-0. And probably drives one to left field, but it's hooking foul. 1-1 to Scott. Last 9 games, Van Slyke is hitting .333. And a line drive exploding, backhanded by Todd Frazier to throw him out. And the big leaguers make it look so easy. So Frazier turns in a fine play, 1 out. And the batter will be Yasiel Puig. One hopper, backhanded, ho-hum. And then the arrow to first base. So here's Yasiel Puig. Puig hitting .243. He's had 5 home runs, 20 RBI since the break. So he now has 9 home runs. Hits one foul on a fastball down. Yasiel also has 34 runs batted in. Puig last night 1 for 4. And he drives it to right. Bruce has lost it. Jay Bruce last night had a lot of trouble with the lights. He should have made that catch. And again, he's having trouble out there in right field. The Puig, they got that dribble single by the mound. Gets a break now on a very catchable ball. So that's a tough break for young John Lamb. And the batter now Grandal. Yasmani with 15 home runs. That would tie him with another catcher, Stephen Vogt of Oakland. Foul back. Brian McMahon of the Yankees has 20 home runs. And the Yankees looked like they came from behind and beat the Toronto Blue Jays. Salvador Perez of Kansas City has 16. And here's Madmani with 15. 1-1, second inning, 1 out, should be 2. So Lamb could use a break, and he got a bad break on the ball hit by Puig. Not much you can do. You lose the ball, you lose the ball. Good changeup. Randall way out in front of it. 0-2. Jock Peterson waiting on deck. And down goes Grandal. So the inning should be over. It's not. And with 2 out, the batter will be Jock Peterson.
Jock Peterson.
Yasiel Puig, with all of his speed and everything else, certainly does not steal bases. As he talks to Joey Votto, he has 1 stolen base, and he's been caught twice. Jock Peterson checking in, hitting .221, 22 home runs. Hit his first home run since the 25th of July, and he has 45 runs batted in. And a strike. Last night, Jock Peterson came up, got a fastball, and hit it to left field for the home run. Joe Resnick of Associated Press has done a little study on Jock Peterson. You know, the theory is that he gets a strikeout or a walk or a home run. Well, it's actually happened 11 times so far this year. Last night was the 11th time. His record in a game where he has a strikeout, a walk, and a home run, Dodgers have 3 wins and 8 losses. 0-2 to Peterson. Alex Wood on deck. Puig standing at first with 2 out. Of course, with a left-hander just looking at him, pretty tough to get a jump. Oh, and 2. Fastball low. Up north, the Nationals had a man thrown out at home trying to score from third against a drawn-in infield. Brandon Crawford made the play. So after an inning and a half, they're in a 1-1 tie up there. We're in the bottom of the second inning in a 1-1 tie down here. Got him. So Peterson caught looking. Down he goes. That would be the 3rd strikeout for John Lamb. No runs a hit, and even that was fluky. And at the end of 2, a 1-1 tie. inside look at the best moments of the week on and off the field. Don't miss Dodger Clubhouse Monday at 7 on Sportsnet LA. Third inning, Brandon Phillips, Eugenio Suarez, and Joey Votto. Phillips grounded to short in the first inning, 0 for 1. Getting very close in his career to 300 doubles. He needs 7. Of course, he's the Reds' all-time leader among second basemen in hits, doubles, home runs, and RBI. And a strike. Another thing to Brandon Phillips' credit, he's the only player in Major League history to produce a game with 4 hits, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, and 2 stolen bases. And that's off wood, literally and figuratively, by the time it's retrieved. Standing at first base is Brandon Phillips. So Phillips slashes one literally and figuratively off wood. He was wide open standing on that right leg, and it got him right on just above the ankle, I believe. So he looked a little bit like a stork, and he paid the price. Stan Conti, Don Mattingly going out. Dodgers were hurting in the bullpen. Juan Nicasio went out with an abdominal strain. Joel Peralta went out with a neck issue. Chris Hatcher has been called up. And now, of course, the Dodgers short in starting pitching anyway. And they have to make sure Alex Wood's okay. So Brandon Phillips drills one off Wood's leg. And now Suarez, Votto, and Frazier will be coming up. Well, looks like he's ready to continue. Stan Conti hangs around to be convinced, and now he is convinced. So we're about ready as Suarez checks in.
Now batting, number 7, Eugenio Suarez.
Suarez was a switch hitter. Now he is strictly a right-hand batter. When Cozart was injured, he took over at shortstop, and he's done very well since they called him up from Louisville. Phillips standing on the bag, but they went over there anyway. Phillips has stolen 17 out of 19. So you had best keep an eye on him, no matter the score, no matter the outs. Change low, ball 1. 1 run, 2 hits for the Reds. 1 run, 3 hits for the Dodgers. And that's lined into left field, down the line for the hit. Over to get the ball is Van Slyke. Bobbles it, but then recovers. Phillips stopped at second, and the Reds are in business. First and second, nobody out, and Votto, Frazier, and Bruce coming up. Pitch was down. Suarez went after it, and it's a bullet into left field. So each side with a run and 3 hits. And now here is Votto, doubled in a run in the first inning. Hitting .395 since the All-Star break. Right, 0-1. Pickoff play on a bounce. Rollins does well to keep that ball on the infield. There's the bounce, and there's the smothering stop. So Phillips nowhere to go but hold on. The Reds run and run and run, and they'll steal base anywhere, including third. One thing they don't do, they don't have any records of stealing home. 0-1. Good pitch. 0-2. Joey, who's from Canada, learned to speak French, and during the 2011 season he had a Spanish tutor 4 or 5 times a week so he could talk to his teammates. He is a deep thinker. And fooled on the pitch, and down he goes. So Wood makes a good pitch to handcuff him. 2 on, 1 out, keeping it right in there. And the batter now will be Todd Frazier.
Todd Frazier.
Really tied up. He couldn't get much of a swing. So Frazier, who fouled out in the first inning, coming up. So Phillips singles off Wood's leg. Suarez singles to left. Votto strikes out, and here's Frazier. Ground ball to short. They're going to get 1. They will get 2. Brandon Phillips tried to distract Jimmy Rollins. Of course, when you play as long as Brandon did, and he's laughing about it, he tried to stick his leg and foot just to try to distract and hide the ball, but he didn't get away. So 2 hits, nothing to show, and at the end of 2.5, a 1-1 tie. To Rollins. Brandon Phillips trying to distract him with his leg and foot. Jimmy, of course, has been fooled at a long time, and he didn't go for it. And here we go to the bottom of the third. By the way, Alex Wood made only 8 pitches, and the Reds are 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. 2-0 the count. Alex Wood, Jimmy Rollins, Kike Hernandez. Back-to-back doubles by Brandon Crawford and Justin Maxwell. The Giants take a 2-1 lead in the second inning up north against Washington. 3-1 the count to Alex Wood. Lamb has given up 3 hits. He has struck out 3. He has not walked a batter, but he's on the edge. And ball 4. So Alex Wood draws the walk. Now you have Rollins and Hernandez. Jimmy Rollins spanked a double to left field in the first inning. He's hit 13 of his last 15 at-bats, including 7 extra base hits. Rollins in his great career has 922 runs batted in. Ball one. Johnny Peralta has 701. Troy Tulowitzki, now making a living in Toronto, has 662. Brian Pena talking to John Lamb. 1 ball and no strikes.
Dodger fans, let's go.
Wood at first, nobody out. 3rd inning. Don't really know very much about John Lamb. We've given you his background, but as a pitcher, since this is his first major league game, it's tough to adjust. Off speed for a strike. In his 7 years in the minors, though he has plenty of experience. Came up with a record of 10-2 this year. 1 ball and 1 strike. Gregor Blanco just doubled home 2 up north. And a little pop fly. It's Brandon Phillips. And he was thinking about dropping the ball. I mean, when you watch Phillips, you know one thing. He is always thinking. And he was thinking he'll finally basket the ball. But he was thinking, I might mess him up. But Rollins was churning down the line. Yeah, he's something out there. Had a great career and a marvelous all-around player. So Rollins pops it up. 1 out. Kike Hernandez single to left field in the first inning. So the Giants are now leading Max Scherzer and Washington 4-1 in the second inning. That's a strike. Rollins doubled in the first inning. Kike singled into third, and Turner's fly ball picked up Rollins. We're 1-1, bottom of the third. Fastball in on the hands. 0-2. Kike knew all about John Lamb. I guess they faced each other in the minors. And down he goes. So for John Lamb, he picks up his 4th strikeout. And the batter will be Justin Turner, who had the sacrifice fly in the first inning. Totals are identical. 1 run, 3 hits, and no errors. Turner batting .323. Change up in for a strike. Good pitch. 0-1. Lamb fastball, slider, curve, and change. Oh and 1. Fastball to drive him off the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike. He's very confident to come inside the right-hand batters. That was one of the scouting reports on John Lamb. He is not a Lamb out there on the mound. 1 ball, 1 strike. The other thing about John Lamb, and it happens, I'm sure, to so many young pitchers, they are superbly gifted they have Tommy John surgery, and then they really learn how to pitch, not relying on the God-given ability as much as experience and knowledge. And that's going to go up the middle, right over the head of Lamb. So that puts Dodgers at first and second with 2 out, and it'll bring up Adrian Gonzalez.
Number 23, Adrian Gonzalez.
So Turner, a shot up the middle, and the Dodgers in business again. Gonzalez struck out in the first inning. One, 2 out, bottom of the third. Wood, who took a shot off the ankle, remember, is the runner at second base. And a fly ball to left field. Marlon Byrd is there. So Adrian doesn't hang around. And for the Dodgers, no runs, 1 hit, 2 left. And at the end of 3, we have a 1-1 tie. Brought to you by the 2015 Jeep Cherokee. With an EPA estimated 31 highway MPG, it's the perfect choice. Visit Jeep.com today. 4th inning, a 1-1 tie. It'll be Jay Bruce, Marlon Byrd, and then Brian Pena. By the way, we last mentioned the fact that Gregor Blanco had doubled in a run. Matt Duffy then came up with the 4th double of the inning to knock in Blanco. And the Giants are leading Washington 5-1. That's early in that game. 3rd inning. So here come the Reds. Jay Bruce, who lost that fly ball for a base hit, will start it off, ground it out to Adrian Gonzalez in the 1st inning. Bruce, Byrd, and Pena. Alex Wood showing no ill effects, having been hit on the leg on the shot by Brandon Phillips. And the young left-hander about ready to go to work, and Bruce checks in. Fastball strike. Boy, if you're a left-hand hitter and that left arm of Wood extends, it's like a hook and ladder right there. 1-1. Must be very difficult to pick up the ball. It's also very funky. You see the way that arm is way behind. And one thing I'm sure, there are a lot of people who think he will not have a long career. That'll be that. Well, we certainly hope he does, but there are ways to pitch and have longevity, and there are ways where you're liable to injure yourself. And I'm sure a lot of pitching coaches look at Alex Wood and think, whoops, he's on thin ice, but they certainly like his stuff. So 1 away. Marlon Byrd grounded to 3rd in the third inning. 1 run, 3 hits for the Reds. 1 run, 4 hits for the Dodgers. Ground ball, base hit. Peterson up with it and gets it back in.
Number 29.
So for the Reds, they've had at least 1 man on base in every inning. They have 1 run and 4 hits, plus 2 walks. Brian Price making his notes. Brian is from Mill Valley, California. Lives over in Scottsdale. Went to the University of California, Berkeley. So 1 out, Brian Pena walked in the second inning. Fastball for a strike. The best pitching delivery I think I've ever seen, if I could have said, give me that delivery for longevity, was the delivery by Tom Seaver. When Seaver pitched, you were not really aware of his arm. You were certainly aware of his legs and his back. And put it all together, one reason why he had such a great career. And another strike, 0-2. Pitchers don't like to see you hook the ball either. The coaches will try to get you from doing that. That's, let's say, if you're left-handed, you wind up, and as you bring your arm back, you bend your wrist, and you're hooking the ball. They don't like that. 0-2. And a 1-line drive, and they get the double play. Soft line drive back to number 1, Alex Wood, and he flips over to first. No runs, 1 hit, and nobody left. Take another look. Into the glove. Bird is hung out to dry, and we have a 1-1 tie. The first 40,000 fans in attendance receive a spray bottle with fan presented by Farmer John. For more information, go to Dodgers.com/promotion. Boy, of all the gifts that we give out during the year, that will certainly be a handy one to have on Sunday. Brian Hagan has an inquisitive mind, an alert, highly intelligent mind, and he got to thinking. We told you that John Lamb is the grandson of John Ramsey, who is the public address announcer here for 24 years. Slow breaking ball for a strike to Van Slyke. So Brian got to thinking, I wonder if John Ramsey ever announced a John Lamb here. Pitch off the plate, 1-1. So Brian checked. There was a Pirate pitcher named John Lamb from Connecticut who made 4 appearances here. 2 in 1970, 2 in 1973. So if John Ramsey didn't happen to take those nights off, he might very well have mentioned the name John Lamb. They were early July and the middle of August. John Ramsey, of course, was so well known by all of us. Died very young, 62, back in 1990. He was everywhere as Van Slyke strikes out. I mean, when I say everywhere, okay, he did the Dodger games for 24 years. He did the Lakers, the Kings, the Angels, the Rams, and SC football. He did the Packers and Chiefs when they played in 1967 in the Coliseum, which was then called the first AFL NFL championship game, and of course is the Super Bowl. High foul, Puig jammed, out of play, 0-1 the count. No balls and 1 strike. Yasiel hit a fly ball to right field. Bruce should have caught it, but he lost it in the lights. Big changeup, and he was way out in front of it. 0-2 to Yasiel Puig. And another off-speed pitch. No balls and 2 strikes. Hitting behind him, Yasmani Grandal. One tie, bottom of the 4th. And a changeup got him, though he never saw a fastball. 6 strikeouts now for John Lamb. Couple of off-speed pitches, one after the other. So Yasiel goes to school, badly fooled. And with 2 down, Yasmani Grandal, he struck out on an off-speed pitch in the 2nd inning. That's a strike, 1-1. So Gonzalez, Grandal, Peterson, Hernandez, Van Slyke, and Puig have all struck out. 2-1. They were very high on Jam. They were in Kansas City. Change up, pop foul. What the Reds did, every time they made a trade, they collected pitchers. And when they made the deal sending Johnny Cueto to Kansas City, they picked up 4 pitchers. 2-2. Popped in the air, foul ground. Votto has a little room, and that'll be that. So the Dodgers go quietly, and at the end of 4, a 1-1 tie. In the fifth inning, it'll be John Lamb, the pitcher, and be followed by Billy Hamilton and then Brandon Phillips. Lamb struck out in the second inning. Wood, his counterpart, walked. Totals 1 run and 4 hits for each side. 52 pitches through 4 innings made by Alex Wood. 60 pitches made by John Lamb. So into the fifth we go. Hunter Pence has just hit a home run in the third inning. So the Nationals being knocked around by the Giants. Giants 6, Nationals 1, and they go to the fourth inning. 0-2. You wonder how Alex Wood ever got away with his delivery. And that's that for Lamb. Somewhere along the line, how many pitching coaches tried to change that funky delivery? Because there are hitters, the great Mel Ott, who raised his right leg so high. He was 16 years old, and John McGraw was the manager of the Giants. And McGraw said, I want that boy sitting alongside of me. If I send him down to the minor leagues, every coach in the system will try to change him. And all Otti did was hit 512 home runs. Chopper speared by Turner. That'll be doing it for Billy Hamilton. Haven't seen him do it yet, but Hamilton is a very good bunter. And in fact, he leads with 11 bunt singles. But between now and Sunday, maybe. Here's Brandon Phillips, grounded to short and singled 1 for 2. Brando singled off the leg of Alex Wood in the third inning. And then Suarez singled, and it looked like Wood would be in trouble, but he struck out Votto and got Frazier on a double play ball. Strike 1. Foul ball. 0-2 the count. Alex Wood out of North Carolina, Charlotte. Brandon Phillips, Raleigh, North Carolina. Boy, that's a menacing stance, isn't it? Phillips having a marvelous career. And a high fly ball that's playable. Puig is there to one-hand it. And a nice quick inning in the fifth. So Wood now sailing along, and at the end of 4.5, a 1-1 tie. by your Southern California Toyota dealers. Now at Toyota's annual clearance event, get amazing deals on every new Toyota. Bottom of the fifth inning, a 1-1 tie. Alex Wood, John Lamb, Jock Peterson, then Wood, and then Rollins. 1 run, 4 hits for each team. Peterson struck out in the second inning. Slow curveball off the plate. Fastball, pop foul. One ball and 1 strike. Alex Wood, who's on deck, made 7 pitches in the 4th inning and 7 pitches in the 5th inning. 1-1. Slow curveball, but it was high. 2-1. Fastball now behind, 3-1. Lamb has a half a dozen strikeouts, and the only man he walked is the pitcher, Wood. Fastball. Three and 2 the count to Jock. And pop foul. Fastball. One run, 4 hits, and no errors for each side. Lamb has now made 66 pitches. Alex Wood has made 59. Foul back. So 3 fastballs. Now let's see what happens on a 3-2 count. Fastball. And right into the mask of Brian Pena. Boom. Wow. With all the talk about concussion now, we take those foul balls very seriously. All right, bunch of fastballs in a row. Another one for ball 4. Second walk given up by John Lamb. Very close for a strike. That close. Plate umpire Paul North indicating ball 4. And Joey Votto something to make Peterson smile at first base. So here is Alex Wood. They'll be looking bunt. Frazier in on the grass. Votto ready to push off the bag. And Lamb at the stretch. One run, 4 hits for each side. Giants are winning big, 6-1 at home. Dodgers tied up 1-1. Look at Brandon Phillips and the bunch foul. Brandon Phillips was in foul ground and just did get back into fair. Running, hoping that they might be able to catch Peterson. See him sneaking behind? Yeah, you can bet on every pitch there's something that Phillips is thinking about. I mean, if you just watch Brandon, you see a whole different game. We've seen him think about dropping a pop fly. We've seen him try to distract Rollins. We've seen him now trying to sneak behind Peterson. He puts all those years that he has played to work every day. Oh, 0-1. Now he's not rounding the runner. The bunt is one-handed. Caught by the catcher. An easy double play. Wow. Pena somehow holding that little foul bunt. So for Peterson, he was erased easily. 2-3.
Shortstop.
Pena lunges and makes the catch. First thing he did was get rid of the mask. Wonderful play. Boy, what quick reflexes to come out and make it, and then get the double play. So 2 out in the 5th inning, and Jimmy Rollins at the plate. Rollins double, scored a run, popped up. Fastball for a strike. 1 run, 4 hits for each side. 2 young left-handers. 2 young left-handers who have already had Tommy John surgery. 124, 125. Slow breaking ball. 1-1. One and two. Great off-speed pitches. Wow. John Lamb from Laguna Hills. Fastball on the hands. Still 1-2. Fastball line to center, and it's a base hit. Billy Hamilton gets it back in. So the Dodgers' inability to get the bunt down cost them 2 outs, and now Rollins singles. Kike Hernandez coming up. Kike single left, struck out, 1-for-2. For the 10th time, Kike Hernandez, the second baseman. Hitting behind him in the number 3 slot, Justin Turner. So Rollins could be a threat to run, but the young left-hander staring right at him. Fastball strike. Rollins has stolen 9, but he's also been caught 7 times. 0-1 to Hernandez. Fastball line drive under the glove into center field. Kike holds at second. So with 2 down, Rollins and Hernandez base hits, and the batter Justin Turner. Right under Lamb's glove and through into center field. So in a 1-1 tie in the 5th inning, Dodgers have first and second 2 out. Justin Turner sacrifice fly in the 1st inning, and a single to center in the 3rd. Rollins at second, Hernandez at first. The infield moving a little bit around towards third base. Votto way off the bag at first. Phillips filling up the middle, and Suarez, the shortstop, on the grass. Strike. 0-1 to Turner. Justin a little smiling, but he's really disagreeing with Paul Nord. Plate umpire for tonight's game has been umpiring in the big leagues for 15 years. born in Louisville, lives in Georgia. Oh, and 1. Change up, fly ball, but it's trouble. It's going to drop, and at 2 out, that means Rollins will score. Holding at third is Hernandez, and the Dodgers lead 2-1. And Justin Turner is back, and the Dodgers say, thank goodness. 3 straight hits with 2 outs. Turner drives in both runs, got an off-speed pitch, and hit the fly ball that dropped between Bird and Hamilton. So now Adrian Gonzalez coming up. Dodgers with 7 hits and 2 runs. Ball 1. So Peterson walked, and then the catcher Pena made a great play on the bunt. And the next thing you know, Rollins singles, Hernandez singles, Turner singles. And the Dodgers take a 2-1 lead. And Rollins talking to Peterson. A man worth listening to. Well, Jimmy passing along a little extra knowledge absorbed by Peterson. And a 1-ball, no strike count on Adrian Gonzalez. Hernandez at third, Turner at first, 2 out. Fastball whacked to right field, and there she goes. 3-run home run, and the Dodgers lead 5-1. For Adrian Gonzalez, he unloads his 23rd home run. He now has 72 runs batted in. Got a fastball right out over the plate and carried it into the bullpen. So 5-1 Dodgers. Line foul by Scott Van Slyke. For Gonzalez, his last home run was in Philadelphia on the 6th of August. Pretty good combination, Turner and Gonzalez. 1 ball and 1 strike. So it's a 4-run inning, and the Dodgers take a 5-1 lead. Giants lead up north 6-1. Ground ball to Frazier, and that's the inning. Adrian Gonzalez, after Turner had singled in a tiebreaker, he unloads, getting cheers from A.J. Ellis, and it's 5-1 Dodgers. 2 to the Reds. Bottom of the 9th inning. Get a man aboard. Ken McMullen hits a 2-run home run, and the Dodgers beat the Reds 4-3. They were 30 games above 500. How'd they come out? Dodgers won 95 games, and the Reds won 99. "5-1 Dodgers. Suarez, the shortstop. Big home run by Adrian Gonzalez. The beard is gone, the mustache is gone, and the baseball is gone. 2-1 the count. Suarez walked and singled, so he's having a big series. Strike. Last night, Suarez 2 doubles and a 3-run home run, and now a walk and a single tonight. Batting .311. Changeup. For John Lamb, he made 25 pitches. He's now made 85 pitches in the game. Singles by Rollins, Hernandez, Turner, and then Gonzalez lowered the boom. Almost hit him. 3-2. Joey Votto on deck, and then Todd Frazier. Reds have hit 123 home runs, so they can muscle back in a hurry. And there's ball 4. Wood has walked 3.
Joey Votto.
And now Joey Votto, who doubled in a run and struck out. Five runs, 8 hits for the Dodgers, 1 run, 4 hits for the Reds. 0-1 to Votto. Brett Anderson tomorrow, and Zach Greinke on Sunday. 1 ball and 1 strike. So Brett sitting alongside Clayton Kershaw. And a high fly ball to left field. Going back is Van Slyke. It's over the wall. So Joey Votto takes him out, and it is suddenly 5-3 in favor of the Dodgers. For Joey Votto, his 21st home run. So Votto has doubled and homered to give him 57 runs batted in. And the Reds are right back in the game. So the first baseman doing the work, and Votto strong enough to hit it the other way. Van Slyke went to the wall, but no chance. 124 home runs for the Reds, 140 home runs for the Dodgers. Fly ball to Cleveland. So Votto gets Cincinnati back in the game. We have 1 out. And the batter will be Jay Bruce.
Jay Bruce.
Jay Bruce grounded out twice. 0 for 2. Big roundhouse curveball. Bruce 1 for 5 last night, so 1 for 7 in the series. Sinker for a strike. One and 2. Alex Wood has allowed 3 runs, 5 hits, and he has walked 3. 2-2. Off speed, Kike. Two down in the 6th inning. Marlon Byrd will be coming up. Byrd grounded to third, single to center. The Reds scored a run in the first. Dodgers came back with 1. Dodgers scored 4 in the 5th. And the Reds have come back with 2 in the 6th. Fastball for ball 1. We were talking about Ken McMullen's home run in the 9th inning to beat the Reds back in 1973. Reds went on to win, not the game, but the division, and to lose to the New York Mets. Then the next year, the Dodgers beat the Reds 74 and lost to Oakland. And then in 75, the Reds came back to win again, beating the Red Sox. So a big rivalry at the end of 5.5, 5-3 Dodgers. Tomorrow night at 6, Sunday at 1. Dodgers then go out on the road. 2 games in Oakland. Next weekend in Houston. Midweek with Cincinnati. And they'll be home here with the weekend with the Cubs and then the Giants. Remember, 7 games left between the Dodgers and Giants. Joey Votto hits a home run, his 21st. Makes it a little closer. 5-3 in favor of the Dodgers. By the way, it is very close up in San Francisco. Off speed, ball 1 to Puig. At one time, it was 6-1 in favor of the Giants. Now it's 6-5. 3-run home run by Bryce Harper has brought it up to a 1-run game up there. 1-1 the count. With Washington and the Giants, that's their 5th meeting of the year. Nationals have won 3, Giants 1. 2-1. Missed inside. So with 2 out, 3 straight singles by the Dodgers. Rollins, Hernandez, Turner, and then the big home run by Gonzalez. High fly ball to right field. Bruce has a play. So Puig Fly ball to right, one down. And the batter, Yasmani Grandal. Lamb is due to bat second. Remember, he's hitting in the number 8 slot. So he's due to bat second when they come up in the 7th inning. Slow curveball in for a strike. Grandal struck out and fouled out. Ground ball, fair ball, gobbled up by Frazier, throws him out. 2 down in the 6th inning. And the batter will be Jock Peterson. In the Dodger bullpen, Jim Johnson begins to warm up. Alex Wood has made 77 pitches. He also took a shot off the leg. We're not sure if that has anything to do with it. Peterson struck out and walked. On 1. Waiting on deck is the pitcher, Alex Wood. 1-1. Five runs, 8 hits for the Dodgers, 3 runs, 5 hits for the Reds. Slow curveball and a little high. Take a look at this. Up there, just missed. Fastball. So now he's in a hole, 3-1. And a high fly ball, hooking foul, should go back out of play, and does. So Jock's still there, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Alex Guerrero looks like he's tuning up to bat for Alex Wood, putting on the batting gloves. Fastball fouled away. Pretty good pitch. Peterson just did get a little bit of that going by. Three and 2. John Lamb with his 99th pitch. Got him. So Peterson strikes out a second time. Down go the Dodgers in order at the end of 6. 5-3 Dodgers. And now we'll see about Wood. brought to you by Flex Alert. This summer, the power is in your hands. FlexAlert.org. Seventh inning, Dodgers leading 5-3 before an enthusiastic crowd. Hope you'll be with us maybe tomorrow night or Sunday afternoon before the ball club goes back out on the road. Brian Pena coming up made a fine defensive play on the bunt by Wood. Mask off, lunging and catching and holding on to the ball in the mitt. Because this day and age, the catcher's mitts fold like a first baseman's glove. In the old days, you couldn't bend them. That's a strike. Well, the San Diego Padres can check off one on their wish list, one to go. They are the only team without a no-hitter. They were also the only team without a Padre to hit for the cycle. Tonight, San Diego playing in Colorado. They needed a triple for the hitter to hit for the cycle, and Matt Kemp tripled in the ninth. Chopper foul. So Matt Kemp hits for the cycle. Padres beat the Rockies 9-5. Pena has walked, hit into a double play. 5-3 Dodgers, seventh inning. 0-2. Ball one. 81 pitches made by Wood. They're going to be watching him closely. Jim Johnson had been up, warming up. And a little tap at the short. Rollins takes care of Pena. One away. Johnson is up for the second time in the Dodger bullpen. And the batter now will be a hitter. Jason Bourgeois is coming up to bat for John Lamb. Bourgeois had a base hit as a pinch hitter last night. Right-hand batter, runs well. And let's see now. Is Mattingly going to give Wood the hook? On deck, Billy Hamilton. So Jim Johnson is going to be called in. Alex Wood will be coming out. Dodgers lead 5-3. We'll be right back. $40,000 Dodger fans receive a pair of Dodger headphones presented by Lexus. For tickets, go to Dodgers.com/promotions. The Cubs playing very well. Alex Wood made 82 pitches, went 6 1/3. Cubs have won 7 straight, 9 of the last 10, trying to at least not catch St. Louis, but be the wild card. So we'll see about Johnson. Jim worked the 7th inning last night, gave up 2 hits, but got a double play and got out of the inning. And ball 1. Big Jim checking on Bourgeois. And ball 2. Jason out of Houston, Texas. 2nd round pick by the Rangers. He's 33 years old. And little number foul. For Jason, as a kid growing up, a Houston boy, his father used to work the ticket booth at the Astrodome. So as you can well imagine, he spent a lot of time seeing the Astros. He was originally drafted by the Rangers, but first came up to the big leagues with the White Sox, the Brewers, and then finally made it to the Astros 10 years after he was signed. Strike. He was a second-team prep All-American, part of an Arizona State recruiting class, but he went baseball instead of going to college. High bouncer. Johnson, a big man at 6'6", goes up to get it. So 2 out here in the 7th inning, and the batter will be Billy Hamilton.
Center fielder, Billy Hamilton.
Billy Hamilton has lined out and ground out. He hasn't tried it, but again, remember, he has 11 bunt singles. And with his speed, the thought of dropping one down is always present. Both Gonzalez and Turner come up. And ball 1. Hamilton has stolen third base 16 times already. And a strike. Hamilton weighs about 160 pounds. He is a will-o'-the-wisp, without a doubt. Foul ball off the protective railing. That almost got Alex Wood. Well, he's alongside the trainer, Stan Conti. "5-3 Dodgers, 7th inning. And the tag, and that's it. So down go the Reds, and at the end of 6.5, 5-3 Dodgers. Bottom of the 7th inning, 5-3 in favor of the Dodgers. Burke Badenhop make his second appearance in the series. Big right-hander out of Bowling Green, Ohio. He went to Bowling Green State. Lives in Perrysburg, Ohio, but really grew up in Greensboro, North Carolina. Badenhop pitched the 7th inning last night. Gave up a couple of hits, but got away. Carl Crawford will now come up and bat for Jim Johnson. So 5-3 Dodgers. 7th inning. Johnson came in and made 8 pitches. That's a strike. 0-1 to Crawford. Crawford hitting .263. 2 home runs, 10 runs batted in. 0-2. Pedro Baez begins to warm up in the Dodger bullpen. Baez appeared briefly last night in the 6th inning. Ground ball base hit on a no ball 2 strike count. Whoa. One of the things we've commented before, 2 things that we see happen so much that did not happen that often in the old times. Number 1, people striking out and not thinking about it at all. In the old days, there was a terrible sense of failure when you struck out. And the other, no ball 2 strike base hits. Boy, we see a ton of those. So Crawford at first. Here's Rollins. Double popped up and singled. Jimmy has scored twice. So Wood allowed 3 runs, 5 hits. Lamb allowed 5 runs, 8 hits. And now the game in the hands of the relievers. Turned him around. Jimmy hitting over 300 right-handed and just a little above 200 left-handed. The big difference, batting left-handed, that's his power. 9 of his 11 home runs have been hit left-handed. There goes Crawford. Ground foul outside of third. So Carl goes back to first. Badenhop, by the way, has allowed only 2 home runs so far this year. One ball and 1 strike. That's just off the plate. 2-1. So on a 2-1 hit and run count, he's checking, and you've got the ideal combination. Rollins at the plate, Crawford the runner. See if they put it on. Kike Hernandez on deck. Crawford goes. Taken at the plate for a strike. Wow. I don't know what happened there. Rollins standing as if to say, wait a minute, what happened? On a 2-1 count, you certainly expected with Crawford going that Rollins would be swinging. And it was a good pitch. They're going to review the tag at second base. Well, tag might have been late. Don't know if he touched the dirt or the leg. So we'll wait and see. And of course the crowd trying to help out. Dana DeMuth, the crew chief, wearing the headset facing you. Paul Nart, the plate umpire, wearing the other headset. Bang, bang play. Mike Easterbrook, the umpire at second, called him out. Watch the leg, see what a tag is. That doesn't look like he's tagging him, and it looks like the foot's on the bag. Well, some talented people back in New York are making the official review, so we will just patiently wait for the outcome. 5-3 in favor of the Dodgers. We're in the 7th inning, and we're questioning safe or out. The umpires are dedicated, let's face it, to making things right. Joe Torre is sitting, and the chief baseball officer, he wants to get it right. Crawford with Todd Frazier and Lorenzo Bundy. One more time. There's the ball, there's the leg. Now, is the foot on the bag before the tag? The out is called. Looks like the tag might have been up around the shin, if indeed it was a tag. And the foot might be on the bag ahead of the tag. Though we wait, while we wait, we can tell you Bryce Harper's home run to make it 6-5 Giants was Harper's 30th home run. Not only does he take the National League lead over Nolan Arenado, who is 29, Bryce also becomes the 3rd left-hand batter in National League history to have a 30 home run season at the age of 22. Okay, do we have an answer? Yes, we ought to. Out. Who are the others who had a 30 home run season at the age of 22? Besides Bryce Harper, Eddie Matthews, and Mel Ott. By the way, it's still 6-5 Giants, bottom of the 6th inning. Mattingly sees the out call, can't believe it, and Rollins waits. 2 balls and 2 strikes. We were just a little surprised on a 2-ball, 1-strike count that Rollins took the pitch. Now 3-2. And down he goes. 2 out, 7th inning. Kike Hernandez coming up. So Crawford, close but no cigar. For the Crawford, that was the first time that he's been caught stealing. He's now stolen 3 out of 4. Kike singled, struck out, singled again. 2 for 3. He was aboard when Gonzalez hit the 3-run home run, which is the big difference in the game. Two and 0. When the Reds come up in the 8th inning, they'll have Brandon Phillips, Eugenio Suarez, and Joey Votto against Pedro Baez. 3-0 the count to Kike. Justin Turner waiting on deck. In there. And a hopper by Phillips. So for Kike Hernandez, he comes up with a 3-hit game tonight, and that'll bring up Justin Turner. Pretty good combination. Hernandez with 3 hits. Turner had the sac fly and then 2 singles. So of course, had Crawford been called safe at second base, he probably would have scored on that one. Brandon Phillips, with the infield swung around, is almost directly behind second base. Almost, but not quite. Here is Turner, 2 for 2, ball 1. For years we've been talking about Adrian Gonzalez being the butter and egg man, and a thoughtful soul emailed, if Gonzalez is the butter and egg man, Turner is the ginger man. Foul ball. Of course, in Ireland especially, anyone with red hair is called ginger. I didn't buy it, but you know there's a book out now, a big, heavy, serious book, The History of Red Hair. I can't buy it. I was thinking about buying it for Justin. 1-1. Ball 2, 2-1. Well, it was a 2-1 count when Crawford was nailed and Rollins didn't swing. So we'll see now with Hernandez 2-1. Crawford watching. Turner waiting. No running. Foul ball. 2-2. To repeat, when the Reds come up in the 8th inning, Phillips, Suarez, and Votto. After Votto, you have Frazier and Bruce. So Baez getting ready for a very tough inning, the 8th. 2-2 to Justin Turner. Fastball hit up the middle, but Phillips is there. He has to go to the bag, and he went late. He did throw to first for the out. He started to feed his shortstop, and his shortstop wasn't there, thinking he was going to go to the bag. But he was lucky enough to get Turner at first base. Uh-oh, nobody there. I can't play it, so I'll go to first. So no runs, 2 hits. And at the end of 7, 5-3 Dodgers. And the hitters have taken over. Joey Votto with a double and a home run and 3 RBIs. Justin Turner, a couple of singles, 2 RBIs. And, of course, the big swing, Adrian Gonzalez, 3-run home run. So now we get down to the nitty and the gritty. 8th inning, 5-3 Dodgers. Pedro Baez will be pitching to Brandon Phillips, Eugenio Suarez, and Joey Votto. Baez, who pitched briefly in the 6th inning last night. Came in to pitch to Phillips and then gave up the home run, 3-run home run to Suarez. So he's going to get the same combination, Phillips and Suarez, in the 8th tonight. Phillips is 1-for-3. Strike. J.P. Howell is up in the Dodger bullpen, and Kenley Jansen standing and watching. No balls, 1 strike. Oh, and 2. Phillips singled in the 3rd inning. A shot off the leg of Alex Wood. Wood hung in there, gave up a base hit to Suarez, and then struck out Votto and got Frazier to hit into a double play. That was quite an inning for young Alex. 0-2 to Brandon Phillips. And he flips it right to the second baseman, Hernandez. 1 away.
Shortstop, number 7.
Suarez has walked twice and singled. 1 for 1. Each time he has walked, he's come home to score. Down in the Cincinnati bullpen, Jumbo Diaz begins to warm up. I wondered if I was going to see him because it brings back memories when I was a kid. High fly ball to center. Peterson will take care of it. 2 down. Jumbo Diaz warming up in the bullpen, and a pretty good reason why he has the name Jumbo. As you can well imagine, he is a sizable man. The big right-hander, look up his actual weight, so I'll be accurate. But it's a lot of weight. Yeah, he weighs 275 pounds. I'll tell you why, when I saw that doing my prep for the games, I saw 275 Jumbo, and I remembered way back, I would bet you it was about 1939. I was 12 years old, and the Giants had a pitcher named Walter Jumbo Brown. And Jumbo Brown was 295 pounds, 6'4". High fly ball down the line. Scotty puts it away. I was in the bleachers. I could look into the clubhouse of the Giants, and there was Jumbo Brown in a pair of boxer shorts and a T-shirt, and I'm watching him walk over to a chair, and there's a lit cigarette on the chair, and I'm trying to holler at him, Jumbo, and he thinks I'm just some crazy fan. He sat on the cigarette. So much for Jumbo. We'll be right back. photo of the game. Tweet your photo for a chance to be shown in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Well, for the second time in my life, I see a pitcher with the nickname Jumbo. Jumbo Diaz from La Romana in the Dominican Republic. He is 6'4", 275 pounds. I was talking from my boyhood about Walter Jumbo Brown of the Giants, who was 6'4", 295 pounds. Jumbo Brown pitched for the Giants 1938, 39, 40, and 41. Diaz, at one time, signed by the Dodgers way back in 2001, pitched in Vero Beach, never made it to the Dodgers. He signed in 2001, and he finally came to the big leagues in 2014, last year. Adrian Gonzalez came up in the fifth inning in the big blow of the game, the 3-run home run into the bullpen. That was a 4-run inning and gave the Dodgers the 5-3 lead. Actually, it gave the Dodgers a 5-1 lead. Votto homered in the sixth to make it 5-3. So here we go with Jumbo Diaz. Right, 0-1. Diaz, and was certainly not making fun of his weight, believe me. Diaz went from 347 pounds at the end of 2013 to 278 pounds when he arrived in camp in 2014. 1 ball and 1 strike. Fastball, a chopper. Phillips will backhand and gets his man. Andre Ethier will now be coming up to bat for Scott Van Slyke and then stay in the game. Kenley Jansen warming up in the Dodger bullpen. So Jansen getting ready, and so is Ethier to do a little hitting. Ethier hitting .287, 12 home runs, 39 runs batted in. And ball 1. And a drive to right. That's going to be a base hit. In fact, it'll be a double, and that's become a trademark for Andre Ethier. Ethier this year now, even though he's not playing much, has 14 doubles, but he's passed Bill Russell for sole possession of 4th place. He has 295 doubles in his career. So Ethier reached Jumbo with a double to right. And the batter now will be Yasiel Puig. Pretty good fastball at 99. Wow. They've asked Jumbo naturally about losing all the weight, why he picked it up in the first place. 1-1. When he went on his diet, he made a concerted effort to shed weight, stopped eating late at night, tried eating a lot of healthy foods and salads. Really hard to have started the diet in the Dominican. As he said, you have your mama and you have your wife and you have a wild pitch. So Ethier at third with 1 out. Well, Ryan finally runs it down. So Ethier at third. That means the infield has to play up. 2-1 the count. Jumbo said, they tell you they're cooking good for you. I stopped eating fried chicken, rice, and beans. The best food we have in the Dominican is rice, beans, and chicken. 99-mile-an-hour fastball. Boy, he is a big man who can hurry that thing up to the plate. He waited 12 years to make his major league debut, bless him. And he did against Toronto. Three and two. Jumbo Diaz with a record of 2-1. He has 4 wild pitches. So anybody throwing 99 is certainly liable, and he's just thrown one for number 5. 3-2 to Puig. Check swing. Swing. Puig is done. Be sure to watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in True HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices with MLB.TV Premium. Real-time highlights, look-ins, and more every night on every device. Blackout and other restrictions apply, so visit MLB.TV for details. All right, here's Yasmani Grandal. Ethier at third, 2 out. Grandal is struck out, fouled out, and grounded out. Check swing foul on a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. When Jumbo Diaz signed with the Dodgers, he was only 17 years old. Basically a fastball pitcher, period. Another fastball at 100. Maybe a one-trick pony, but he's a big pony. One fastball after the other. 1-1. Check swing. They're going to look swing. 1-2 the count. With all of his other things, Jumbo Diaz had Tommy John surgery in 2004. Fastball away. He's been on the DL 3 different times. Two and two. And ball 3. When Grady Little managed the Dodgers, he saw Jumbo in spring training, and he said, you know, the Cy Young winner in the American League, Bartolo Colon, doesn't look so good on the beach, but he does a great job. That's the number one thing. We're not running any modeling contest in hotel lobbies. So that was his remarks about Jumbo Diaz, who walks Grandal. By the way, the paid attendance tonight, 43,407. 43,407. So Jumbo working now on Jock Peterson. First and third, 2 out, 8th inning, 5-3 Dodgers. Up north, 7-5 Giants. Seventh inning. Peterson has struck out, walked, and struck out again. Right. Boy, it's amazing. I told you that story briefly. I can almost feel myself at that age sitting in the bleachers looking at Jumbo Brown. 0-1. Took a little off it, so it got up there at 96. 1 ball and 1 strike. Two out, 8th inning, 5-3 Dodgers. One and two. 99, 100. Wow. 5 runs, 11 hits for the Dodgers. 3 runs, 5 hits for the Reds. In the 9th inning, Todd Frazier, Jay Bruce, and Marlon Byrd. It's been Lamb, Badenhop, and now Jumbo Diaz. On deck, Alberto Callaspo. 1-2. 2-2. Missed by a lot. Diaz, 31 years old. 2-2. Breaking ball that he missed. 3-2. Besides that 99-mile-an-hour fastball, he's got a splitter and a slider. 3-2 with 2 down. Grandal ready to go from first, and ball 4 to load him up. So for Brian Price, a little frustrating as Big Jumbo comes in. In looking at Brown's numbers, well, go back to Diaz. He has walked 9, and he has struck out 43. So not bad, almost 5-1. So Jeff Pico goes out to talk to him. Down in the pen, Pedro Villarreal, who made 23 pitches last night, is hurrying up. Pico also talking to Pena about pitch selection. So in the inning with 1 out, Ethier doubled to right. Puig struck out. Randall walked. Peterson walked to load the bases. And here is Callaspo. Callaspo hitting .237, but since with the Dodgers hitting .269. Two out, bottom of the 8th, 5-3 Dodgers. Trying to steady the Giants, who are still leading. Last we saw 7-5 in the 7th. Fastball, line drive, foul. So Callaspo hitting .269 with the bases loaded, jumped all over that pitch. Line drive, foul by less than a foot. And I'll tell you one thing, the man in charge of the chair down there got himself and the chair out of the way in a hurry. Second one down the line, had that thing coming right at him. 0-1 to Alberto Callaspo. Ethier, Grandal, and Peterson are out there. 0-2 the count. Another 99-mile-an-hour fastball. He's hit 100 once. Spent almost 13 years waiting for his chance to pitch in the big leagues. Fastball driven to right. Bruce is there, and that's that. So the Dodgers lead 3 in the 8th. Jumbo comes in and gets him out, and we're going to the 9th with the Dodgers leading 5-3, and Kenley Jansen called to the mound. Dodger Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Choose Nissan.com. And by DraftKings. Play daily fantasy baseball for free on DraftKings.com. Use promo code BLUECREW for free entry. 9th inning, 5-3 Dodgers. Andre Ethier double coming off the bench in the 8th inning. Stays in the game in left field to take over for Scott Van Slyke. And Kenley Jansen becomes the 4th Dodger pitcher trying to close things up. Jumbo Diaz, by the way, made 26 pitches. And now Todd Frazier going up against Kenley. Frazier is fouled out, hit into a double play, and flied to right. And a strike. Frazier had a double and a single and a stolen base and scored a run last night. Oh and 1. One and 1. Frazier, then Bruce, who is 0 for 3. Bird, who is 1 for 3. And ball 2. Kenley with a record of 2-1. ERA of 2.6. And fouled away. The remarkable combination for Kenley Jansen. He has struck out 55 and he has walked 4. Giants leading the Nationals 7-5. They're in the 8th inning. And down goes Frazier. So one away.
Infielder number 32, Jay Bruce.
Kenley Jansen worked an inning against Washington. Struck out a couple. Last game he won was the middle of June against Texas. The other day on the 12th, he picked up the save against Washington. Big long swing. Wow. Bruce grounded out 3 times. 0 for 3. No balls, 2 strikes. 1 out, 9th inning, 5-3 Dodgers. Just off the plate. The kid from Curacao. Little ground ball to the hole. PK is on the grass to get it. 2 down here in the 9th inning. The last Cincinnati hit was the home run by Joey Votto in the 6th inning. They have not gotten a man aboard since Votto hit the home run. Joey had a double to drive in a run, so he's knocked in all 3 runs in the game tonight for Cincinnati. Of course, that's old hat for him. So here's Bird, grounded to third, single to center, grounded to second. 1-4-3. 0-1. Wow, look at that. Punched a hole right in it. The kid's right behind the sign trying to retrieve the ball. Oh, and 1. 0-2. So Kenley just comes in and throwing strikes. Crowd 43,407. Everybody up. Tomorrow night, 6:10. Holmberg and Anderson. Ball 1. Dodgers 5 runs, 11 hits. Cincinnati 3 runs, 5 hits. That'll do it. So Kenley strikes out 2. That'll do it. And for the Reds, after the home run by Votto, they couldn't get anybody on. That means 3, 6, 9, 12 in a row after the home run. Kenley Jansen used only 13 pitches to turn the lights out on the Reds. The play of the game, it certainly changed everything. That was the 5th inning. 2 out, 3 straight singles, and Adrian Gonzalez hit the big home run with 2 men aboard. A 3-run home run to make it a 4-run inning. And the Dodgers went on to win it 5-3. So for Alex Wood, who went 6 1/3, Alex picks up the victory. John Lamb suffers the loss. We'll see you tomorrow night at 6. Till then, for all of us, to all of you, a very pleasant good evening, everybody.